James Comey's actions are beginning to catch up with him. Check it out.
He's already been charged, but nothing is off the table, and we're going to look at everything. We're not going to leave a stone unturned.
After James Comey was indicted on 2 counts by a grand jury, Pam Bondi joined Fox News to break down where the case could go next. And over at MSNBC, Michael Cohen surprised everyone when he shared his thoughts on the situation.
I believe likely he will be found guilty.
Oh, well, that's interesting because
I think he likely committed a crime.
Wait, what?
That's why today we're covering it all, because we're not here to follow parties blindly. We're here for common sense. So, if you're an independent thinker, hit the subscribe button and let's jump right into it.
But former House Intelligence Committee Chairman and current Trump media CEO Devin Nunes told me on Sunday it is possible more charges could be coming for Comey and more former intelligence officials. Watch.
Comey has long been a liar, a leaker. He's dishonest. He ruined the FBI. He will be lucky if there is not a grand conspiracy charge brought, which is really what should be brought against probably about 24 characters in the United States over the last 7-8 years.
Should there be more charges against Jim Comey?
Very specific, and it's over whether or not he lied on this one part. The larger part is whether or not you can bring a kind of grand conspiracy case. And, people talk about, there's the law, which is, lying to Congress, lying to the FBI, but there's also a term in there called misleading. And what a lot of these guys did is they made up things using intelligence that didn't exist, but acted like they knew something that actually wasn't there, and they lied and misled the American people. The only intelligence that they had is that the Russians were very well aware of Clinton's plan, and they actually not only thought Clinton was going to win, but likely preferred that she would win. So going back to the cover-up of her missing emails, that, by the way, are still missing, they all got involved in this plan.
What Devin Nunes said is his right to say, and like with any case, we wait for the legal process to play out. Remember, everyone is innocent until proven guilty, but that doesn't mean there aren't serious questions about Comey's actions. The charges he's facing now tie back to his 2020 testimony before the Senate Judiciary Committee. Prosecutors argue he made false statements when he claimed, quote, he hadn't authorized anyone at the FBI to act as an anonymous source in media reports about an investigation involving someone referred to as Person 1. The second count alleges he, quote, obstructed a congressional proceeding by making those false statements. While the indictment doesn't name the individuals or news outlet, there's a clear precedent. In 2019, the DOJ Inspector General found that Comey, quote, improperly leaked information to the news media, where he asked a friend to share the contents of a memo with the New York Times to pressure the department to launch an independent investigation into his conversations with Trump. Lindsey Graham also shared his thoughts on the story, and he thinks more charges should be brought.
South Carolina Senator Lindsey Graham also said that the obstruction of justice charge goes way beyond just leaking classified information, and it, too, could lead to a conspiracy charge. Watch.
I think obstruction was more than leaking classified information. I think the obstruction includes withholding exculpatory information to the FISA court where he had a duty to do it. I think the obstruction includes lying about the grand conspiracy here. And I think the obstruction includes not investigating leads that could have exonerated Trump. Yeah. They wanted Trump to be guilty. Every time they had information that it may not be him, they ignored it. Yeah. I think this is much bigger than leaking classified information. I think there's a conspiracy charge that could be made. Again, he's presumed innocent, but this obstruction goes well beyond leaking information, classified information. I think there was an effort to withhold exculpatory information, not to investigate credible leads that Trump may not have done this.
He's absolutely right, especially on the FISA warrants. Michael Horowitz found that there were 17 errors and omissions in the FBI's applications for the surveillance of former Trump campaign aide Carter Page, which included, quote, altering of an email by an FBI lawyer to exclude potentially exculpatory information. Even Comey himself eventually admitted he was wrong about it, yet he didn't face any consequences for it. Instead, he landed a book deal and wrote a bestseller, pulled in 6-figure speaking fees, and was paraded by the MSM and the left as some kind of hero who stood up for democracy. Meanwhile, the people targeted by these abuses were left to deal with the fallout. Now that we have these facts out of the way, let's hear what Pam Bondi had to say about whether more charges could still be coming.
So let me get your take on what you just heard from Devin Nunes and Lindsey Graham on the potential for a conspiracy charge against Jim Comey. Are more charges coming?
Maria, you know, I can't comment on anything pending right now within the Justice Department, whether there is or is not an ongoing investigation. He's already been charged, but nothing is off the table. And yeah, there's so much, Maria, out there. They weaponized this government for 4 years, and the weaponization has ended under Donald Trump. No longer will they weaponize the government. No longer will they attack people with lawsuits, with crimes. What they've been doing to this country the last 4 years was horrendous. It's ended now. And we're going to look at everything. We're not going to leave a stone unturned. The FBI is doing a great job investigating many things. We just can't talk about the specifics of anything right now.
Well, hopefully this doesn't end up being on the list of Pam's fumbles. Her role in the Epstein saga alone is a case study in how not to handle your PR. That said, based on the facts already laid out in this video, this should be a straightforward case. A slam dunk if the evidence continues to point in the same direction. The truth is, accountability has been missing for years. We've seen investigation after investigation, document after document declassified, and hours of hearings, and still, no one has faced real consequences. Simply put, the public is tired of watching these stories play out with no real ending. To wrap things up, we have Michael Cohen telling an MSNBC panel this case might end up with Comey being found guilty, and their reactions are priceless.
Do any of us actually really know whether or not Comey is or is not guilty of the charges? I know that they parade out all of these pundits. They have the great titles in the Chiron, former prosecutor, yada, yada, former FBI. Who's seen a single document that's in the possession right now of the DOJ? The answer is nobody. Who has the crystal ball? Still nobody. I will tell you from my investigation, which I used Brian Karem, who's a 30-year White House correspondent, to speak to people inside government because they wouldn't talk to me. I've learned that Comey was actually very much involved in the Russia investigation in a very negative way. And chances are this DOJ has every single email, every text message, every communication. I believe likely he will be found guilty.
Oh, well, that's interesting because
I think he likely committed a crime.
Wait, what? What specifically?
I believe likely he committed a crime.
The way they're shocked, like the script they followed for years, is suddenly falling apart. It's what happens when a narrative starts to crack and the facts no longer line up. As Cohen said, no one's got a crystal ball. So, while the headlines are loud and the speculation is flying, the only thing we can do now is wait and see how it all unfolds. Let me know in the comments whether you think Comey will be found guilty and why. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and remember, keep thinking.